Three monsters, one drag strip, no mercy. Picture this. Three of the most powerful luxury performance machines ever built, lined up side by side on a drag strip. Each one costs more than most people's homes. Each one has an engine that sounds like something out of a Hollywood blockbuster. And each one was built by a manufacturer that has been obsessed with speed, prestige, and dominance for decades. The Audi RS7 Performance, the BMW M8 Gran Coupé, the Mercedes-AMG GT63 S4-door. On paper, these cars are almost identical. Twin-turbo V8 engines, all-wheel drive, automatic gearboxes, premium cabins dripping in luxury. But strip all of that away, and there can only be one winner. Today, we find out which one of these German beasts truly owns the drag strip, and which ones go home embarrassed. Buckle up. This is going to be very, very fast. There's a very specific kind of madness that only German engineers seem to understand. It's the idea that a car can be completely comfortable, almost silent, carrying four adults in leather-wrapped luxury, and then, in the same breath, destroy a sports car in a straight-line race. That's exactly what these three cars represent. They are the pinnacle of the performance saloon, or in American terms, the super sedan. They exist in a world where practicality and performance are not opposites. They are the same thing. The Audi RS7 Performance is the newest generation, and it arrives with a serious chip on its shoulder. Audi wanted to make a statement with this one, and the numbers suggest they did exactly that. The BMW M8 Gran Coupé takes the iconic M badge and stretches it across four doors, wrapping breathtaking performance inside one of the most striking body shapes BMW has ever produced. And then there's the Mercedes-AMG GT63 S4-door, a car that sounds like a name someone invented when they ran out of words but still had something to prove. It's the heaviest hitter spec-wise on paper. More horsepower, more torque, more gears. And it is not shy about telling you that. 3 cars, 3 legacies, 1 strip of tarmac. Let's start where every great car story starts, with the way these things look. Exterior design. Stand next to the Audi RS7 Performance, and you will feel something shift inside you. This is not a subtle car. It is not trying to blend into traffic or disappear in a car park. It is making a very deliberate statement, and that statement is, I am here, and I am better than everything around me. The fastback silhouette is one of the most elegant shapes in the modern automotive world. That long, sloping roofline flows seamlessly into a wide, muscular rear haunches. And those rear haunches are doing serious work. The RS7 sits wider than the standard A7, with flared arches that look like the bodywork has been forced to contain something it can barely hold. Because it has. The front end is aggressive without being cartoonish. The single-frame grille is wide and assertive, flanked by matrix LED headlights that cut through the dark like surgical lasers. The hood has subtle power domes pressed into the metal, not decoration, function. They are there to tell you what sits beneath. Look at the wheels. On the performance version, those large, dark alloys fill the arches perfectly. Not too large, not too small. Just right. The whole car has a proportion that feels engineered rather than styled, which is exactly what Audi intended. Now walk over to the BMW M8 Gran Coupé, and the energy completely changes. Where the Audi is elegant and restrained, the M8 is dramatic and almost theatrical. The test car shown here arrives in a shade that demands to be looked at. A deep, rich color on the outside that catches light differently depending on where you stand. And the interior? A combination so unusual it divides opinion immediately. Some people will love it. Some will find it bewildering. But no one ignores it. The M8 Gran Coupé has that distinctive BMW kidney grille, larger than ever, and framed by adaptive LED headlights that give the front of the car an almost predatory expression. The side profile is coupe-like despite being a proper 4-door. BMW's designers pulled off something quite difficult here. They made a practical car look genuinely exciting. The rear of the M8 is muscular in a different way to the Audi. Wide taillights, a sculpted diffuser, and quad exhaust pipes that leave no room for doubt about what this car is capable of. And then there's the AMG GT63 S4-door. Dark, almost entirely black. Black paint, black wheels, black seats, black interior. Even the ambient lighting inside has a cold, ultraviolet quality that makes the whole cabin feel like a scene from a film about the future. Where the Audi seduces and the BMW impresses, the AMG intimidates. It looks like the villain's car. It looks like something that was built specifically to make other performance cars nervous. The GT63 has a longer, lower stance than both of its rivals, and that GT bloodline shows in the way the car crouches on its wheels. This is the most overtly aggressive looking of the three, and it wears that identity with zero apology. 3 designs, 3 personalities, all of them extraordinary. Slide into the Audi RS7 Performance, and honestly, the first thing you notice is the silence. Not the silence of something that is off. The silence of something that is very, very confidently on. The cabin is hushed, premium, and immediately relaxing in a way that seems completely at odds with what this car is about to do to you when you put your foot down. The interior follows Audi's virtual cockpit philosophy. A widescreen digital display arcs across the dashboard, combining the instrument cluster and the infotainment into one seamless panorama of information. The MMI touch system responds quickly, cleanly, and without fuss. This is a car for people who want technology that serves them, not technology that shows off. The seats hold you firmly without crushing you. The materials, leather, brushed aluminum, soft touch surfaces throughout, feel expensive because they are expensive. This is a 130,000-pound car, and it does not let you forget that. Blue contrast stitching and insert details give the cabin a sporting identity without turning it into something aggressive or uncomfortable. You could live in this cabin. You could drive it to a board meeting and feel perfectly appropriate. And then you could drive it to a racetrack and feel equally at home. Now, the BMW M8 Gran Coupé's interior is, as already mentioned, a conversation starter. The unusual interior specification on the test car aside, the M8 offers a cabin that is genuinely sumptuous. The iDrive infotainment system is one of the best in the business. Fast, intuitive, and deeply integrated. The M-specific displays give you performance data, lap times, and G-force meters that you will never actually use but absolutely love knowing are there. The driving position in the M8 is lower than the Audi, more coupe-like, more focused. It tells you something about the character of the car the moment you sit down. This is a car that wants to be driven, really driven. In the AMG GT63, the atmosphere is different again. The MBUX infotainment system is large, responsive, and visually impressive. The AMG-specific displays and race pages give you access to a staggering depth of performance data. The steering wheel is flat-bottomed, wrapped in leather, with AMG-branded paddle shifters that feel satisfying to use. But it's the overall feeling of the AMG cabin that stands out most. It is darker, more intense, more focused than the other two. Every surface in this particular test car is black. The ambient lighting is cool and, honestly, slightly unsettling. It doesn't feel like a luxury saloon. It feels like a control room. And for some people, the right people, that is exactly what they want. Performance and engine. Now, this is the part everyone came for. The Audi RS7 Performance is powered by a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine, producing 630 horsepower and 850 Newton-meters of torque. Power goes to all 4 wheels through an 8-speed automatic gearbox with a torque converter. Audi claims a 0 to 62 miles per hour time in the low 3-second range, and the car weighs just over 2.1 tons, which is significant, but clearly not a limitation. But, you know, what the numbers don't tell you is the sensation. When this car launches, and yes, it has launch control, it doesn't feel like a heavy luxury saloon accelerating. It feels like something has reached into the laws of physics, argued with them, and won. The power delivery is immediate, savage, and relentless in a way that genuinely surprises, even when you know it's coming. The previous generation RS7 was fast. This one is something else. The engineers didn't just add 30 horsepower. They seem to have rebuilt the entire relationship between throttle input and forward motion. It is sharper, more dramatic, more alive than anything that has worn this badge before. The BMW M8 Gran Coupé runs a 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8, producing 625 horsepower and 750 newton-meters of torque. All-wheel drive, 8-speed automatic gearbox, weighing in at just over 2 tons. The M8's powertrain is a masterpiece of refinement, smooth when you want smooth, brutal when you want brutal. The gearbox changes are fast and crisp in sport mode, and the all-wheel drive system distributes power in a way that always feels composed, never frantic. The AMG GT63 carries a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 producing 639 horsepower and 900 newton-meters of torque, the highest figures of the 3 cars here. 9-speed automatic gearbox, 4-wheel drive, and at around 2,045 kilograms, it is the lightest of the trio, despite having the largest output. It is also the most expensive, at around 154,000 pounds. On a rolling race from 50 miles per hour in normal mode, the AMG's composure in comfort mode costs it dearly. The Audi simply walks away from both rivals, not by a small margin, but by a substantial one that leaves the other drivers genuinely confused. In sport mode with the sportiest settings engaged, the story is similar. The RS7 is simply in a different conversation. The BMW fights harder and closes ground later, but on the quarter mile, it's not enough. The sounds these engines make deserve their own moment. The Audi has a deep, sophisticated bark that rises cleanly to the rev limit without theatrics. The BMW has a slightly more metallic, more urgent note that quickens the heartbeat. The AMG? Well, the AMG makes the kind of noise that causes people to turn around on the street. Pops, bangs, a raspy growl that sounds genuinely angry. In the standing quarter mile, the RS7 Performance completes the run in 11.3 seconds. The M8 Gran Coupé follows at 11.5 seconds. And the AMG GT63 crosses the line in 11.7 seconds. The Audi wins, convincingly, consistently, in every single race. And for a brand that has spent years watching BMW and Mercedes dominate these comparison tests, that result feels historic. Pros and cons. Every car here is extraordinary, but extraordinary doesn't mean perfect. Audi RS7 Performance, the standout performer of this test. The launch is ferocious, the power delivery is incredible, and the refinement of the cabin is exceptional. It's the newest of the 3, and it shows. The weakness? It is very heavy at 2.1 tons, and the price, around 130,000 pounds, puts it firmly in the territory of serious financial commitment. The interior, while excellent, plays it slightly safer than the AMG. And like all these cars, the soft rev limiter will frustrate anyone who wants to wring noise out of it at a standstill. BMW M8 Gran Coupé, one of the most complete luxury performance cars BMW has ever produced. The ride quality, the interior, the driving feel, all of it is superb. The unusual spec of the test car aside, the M8 Gran Coupé is a car you'd happily live with every day. The weaknesses here are relative. It was outpaced by the Audi in every test format, which is not something M cars typically accept quietly. And while 625 horsepower sounds enormous, the RS7's 850 newton-meters of torque creates a real-world gap that the numbers on paper don't fully communicate. Mercedes-AMG GT63, the most powerful, the most torquey, the lightest, and yet the slowest across the strip on this day. Part of that comes down to the gearbox's behavior in comfort mode during the rolling races. The AMG is a complicated machine that rewards you when it's set up correctly and punishes you when it isn't. It is also the most expensive car here by a significant margin, and that will raise questions for some buyers. What it offers that the others don't is pure drama. The way it looks, the way it sounds, the way it makes you feel. Some buyers will consider that worth every penny. Who is this car for? The Audi RS7 Performance is for someone who wants the best of everything without having to choose between comfort and performance. It's for the person who drives 300 miles on a motorway on a Tuesday and then wants to feel their soul leave their body on a Sunday morning when the roads are clear. It is effortless in a way that still manages to feel exciting. It is for the achiever who refuses to compromise. The BMW M8 Gran Coupé is for the driving enthusiast who also needs 4 doors and refuses to apologize for that. It's for the person who cares about how a car handles as much as how quickly it goes in a straight line. If you value the complete package, the feel of the steering, the sound of the engine, the way the chassis communicates, the M8 is the car that speaks your language. The Mercedes-AMG GT63 is for the person who wants to make a statement. It's for the buyer who wants people to notice when they arrive somewhere and wants to hear something spectacular when they press the accelerator. It is the most theatrical car of the 3, and it is built for someone who sees their car as an extension of their personality rather than just a machine. All 3 cars are for people who refuse to believe that growing up means giving up excitement. These are cars for people who want it all and are willing to pay for it. So there it is. The Audi RS7 Performance arrives, makes its case, and wins. Comprehensively. The BMW M8 Gran Coupé is magnificent, and in a different test on a different day, you'd never count it out. The AMG GT63 is dramatic, powerful, and genuinely thrilling. But on this occasion, the straight-line numbers tell a clear story. What makes this result remarkable is what it represents. For years, these battles between German luxury performance cars followed a familiar script. The Audi was always the comfortable option, always the one that lost to the BMW or the AMG when things got serious. Not anymore. The RS7 Performance has rewritten that story entirely. And whatever Audi did to this engine beyond adding 30 horsepower, it worked. It more than worked. The best 30 horsepower in the history of the RS badge? Possibly. The best RS7 ever made? Almost certainly. If this video got your blood pumping, if you felt something when that Audi shot down the strip, then you are in the right place. This channel is built for people who feel things when they see an extraordinary machine do extraordinary things. Luxury and scale is where performance meets obsession. Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and drop a comment below. Which of these 3 cars would you park in your garage? The RS7's dominance, the M8's soul, or the AMG's drama? The conversation is just getting started. Welcome to Luxury and Scale. We'll see you in the next one.